Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Katie. This video is going to be November's full face of first impressions. So I didn't do a first impressions for October, basically because I bought like 3 first impressions worths of makeup in September, which was really stupid in hindsight, so I needed a month's break. We won't be doing anything stupid like that again. But I have got an entire full face of makeup to try out today. I got some stuff from Beauty Bay, got some stuff from Boots. The thing that I'm most excited to try is definitely this, the Bperfect Carnival XL Pro Palette from Stacey Marie. This is very exciting for me. This is probably the most expensive eyeshadow palette I've bought. You do seem to get like a lot for your money though. It's like £42 or something ridiculous like that. I've swatched some of these shades and they look stunning. I'm so excited to try this. I've got the new NYX foundation, I've got the Milani concealer, a whole bunch of stuff, full face. Let's get onto it. So the first thing I am actually going to try out is the concealer. So this is the Milani Conceal & Perfect Longwear Concealer. Mine's in the light shade, which is 100 Pure Ivory. Just for awareness, on Beauty Bay, I don't know if they've changed it now, but when I was looking like a couple weeks ago, they didn't have like the full shade range for this, so the lighter shade wasn't on there. However, on Boots, the full shade range is there, if the products are in stock obviously, because this one was out of stock for a while, but it did eventually come back. But yeah, just so you're aware, Beauty Bay doesn't have every single shade. I think Just My Look does have the full shade range as well. Yeah, I really didn't want to get anything deeper than this because I was just worried that it'd be too dark, but this shade looks good. It looks like it's got the right sort of undertones. It looks more warm to me. I'd say neutral, but also with a little bit of a warm tone to it. That actually looks like a really good shade. I have heard quite a lot of good things about this concealer. So I'm going to test it out in my eye area to start with. That's what I always like to do when I'm testing a new concealer for first impressions. Just see what the coverage is like on bare skin. And then obviously I will use it later over the top of foundation. But so I'm going to do it on one, so I'm just going to do it on one eyelid and under eye so you can see it side by side. Concealer, no concealer. I'm actually using a new sponge that I got from Beauty Bay. I think it's from June & Co. It's like a fibery sort of one. I'm not sure I'm mad about it, so I'm going to switch back to my old sponge. I feel like it doesn't blend out as seamlessly as this is just a regular Real Techniques one. My skin has been a bit shit lately, so I am bearing that in mind when I'm applying base products today. Like, I don't know, the texture of my skin's just been a bit weird the last few days. But okay, I think that's got really pretty decent coverage. I'm impressed with that. Although I do have to say it is like leaning a little bit dry for me and a little bit crepey, but I don't know if that's just because my skin has been quite dry and like just gritty lately. I don't know why. Like, even my lips are really dry and gritty. I don't know what's going on with my face. It might be the type of concealer that blends a bit better on top of foundation. I do find that with a lot of concealers that have more sort of drier formula. I think the coverage is really good, but I'm not like loving how it's just sitting on my bare skin. It's just looking a little bit crepey and a little bit dry, but I'm impressed in terms of the coverage. I think like side by side you can see that it's definitely covered pretty well. Quite impressed with that, but I don't like it as much as my e.l.f. one, which is my favourite drugstore concealer at the moment. So I'm just going to wipe that off my under eye. I'm going to put a little bit on my other eyelid and just prep a base for eyeshadow. So in these videos I do like to do one eye off camera just so I can kind of really finesse it and get something that I'm happy with. Sometimes I do that and it still doesn't turn out the way I want it to, but we're going to at least give it a go. So as I've mentioned, I have got the Bperfect Stacey Marie Carnival palette, which I know there was like a smaller version of this or something, and then this is like the bigger one that they brought out like within the last month or two. And when I saw it, I did really want it. Watched a few reviews that were pretty good, and the color scheme is just like amazing. Like, it's just stunning. I like that you've got like neutrals, you've got like basic shades in there, you've got browns, but then you've also got some incredibly vibrant colors in here. When I looked at it, I did feel like the one sort of shade that was missing was like a neon yellow. There is like a bright yellow obviously up here, but I feel like a neon yellow, like similar to the green and some of the pinks, would have like just really finished it off in my opinion. But nonetheless, I am still happy with the colours that are in there. I feel like I should just go out there and do like a full-on rainbow look with this. I just feel like I should do it. I shouldn't do something boring and neutral. I like that you have the option to do something boring and neutral. I think that's great. Those are my favourite sorts of palettes where you really can just do whatever you want with it. I'll be back in just a second with one eye done. So I've done one eyeshadow look, which I'm not obsessed with, but we're just going to go with it anyway. So I started by using the yellow called Keen. This one here. And that's going above my crease. And this yellow was very pigmented. I was impressed. Then I used the neon orange called Lit. Underneath that, again, pigmented, impressed. This eyeshadow look is generally a bit of a mess. It's just very geometric and it's not very blended, but I don't know, I just wanted to play around with the colours. I'm going to do plenty of looks of this over the next couple months, and I will put some pictures of them in my November, December makeup recap. And I don't know, I might do another video on my channel using it, maybe, we'll see. I can think of an idea. Then I'm using the red called Inferno, which pigment for this was insane. It actually reminds me of a red that I tried in a really cheap palette, which sounds like an insult, but it's not, because I was so impressed with this really cheap palette. I think it's from Beauty Glaze. I'll insert a picture of it on the screen. The red in that has really similar texture and like pigment to this. Like it just picks up product just like bam. And then that's going underneath that. Like look at that, it's just so goddamn pigmented. And I feel like all three of these blend into each other really well. Like there's no like patchiness or like it doesn't like blend away into like white, which I find some shadows do. I mean, I kind of just expected that this would be a good quality palette because it is so expensive. And obviously there's so many more shades I've got to play around with. There may be some duds, you never know. Just in terms of the Milani concealer, I did actually wipe this off instead of using it as a base in my eyeshadow because I just found it was going really dry on my skin. And I know I said that my skin's quite bad, but I then used the Too Faced Born This Way, which I really like. And I didn't have any issues with that blending weird or looking dry or anything. So I'm starting to think maybe the Milani concealer is maybe not the one for me, but obviously I'll keep using it. But yeah, with that in mind, I am using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer to just carve out a cut crease. I feel like this is the point where the look went a bit like weird and too stark, but whatever. I can't really be bothered to do another look right now. Well, I sure as hell messed up that cut crease. So I then used the really neon pink shade called Funky in the inner third of that. I kind of wish I'd gone for some shimmers on the cut crease instead. But I just wanted to do something like kind of rainbow, so that's why I didn't. So the next shade I'm using is the neon shade called Ecstasy. It's a green, and again this showed up really well, but I don't feel like the pink and the green really blend into each other very well. And there's a little bit of like a weird sort of line between them, if you can see. So I don't know if that's just me, or maybe they're just not really meant to be applied in this sort of way together. Probably not. Then on the outer third, I'm using this kind of turquoisey blue shade called Showboat, and that's going in the outer third. Under the brow bone, I'm using this matte white shade called Pillow Talk. And then I use a little bit of the highlighter shade called Fair Play, just in the same area, just a tiny bit of that under the brow bone. And then for whatever reason, I decided to put a black line through it. I I felt like this was to make it look more blended, but I feel like it didn't actually have that effect at all. Had to go out of frame for that. Okay, so let's just pretend it's like really like editorial and like avant-garde, and it's not just poorly applied eyeshadow. But at least you can see the vibrancy of the colours. I'm definitely like really impressed with the palette from first use, but I think there's a lot more I could do with it. If there's any like issues I'm going to point out, it's just literally like the blendability of the like green into the other colours. I feel like maybe there's some issues with, but then I kind of feel like maybe the way I applied it wasn't the right way to go about it anyway. All the transition shades I thought were like amazing, top quality, and the shades that I used on my lid were like really pigmented. It was just like the blendability. Matte white, shimmery white, great. So for my waterline, I got the BH Cosmetics Power Pencil in black, which looks like this, and that was from Beauty Bay. And I love me a nice creamy black liner. When I swatched it, it seemed pretty creamy, so I'm just going to apply this on my top and bottom waterlines. Very dramatic, very pigmented, creamy. The only thing that could go wrong with that is if it doesn't last very well, but from first impressions I think that's really good. Not got any complaints with that. That's just added some intensity into the waterline. So for mascara, I've got a new one from Revlon, which is the Revlon So Fierce Mascara, which came out like a couple months ago. That's what the wand looks like. So I'm just going to apply this on my top lashes and see what sort of volume this gives us. I'm hoping for some nice intense volume. That's what I want from my mascaras. I think that has given a decent amount of thickness and volume. I feel like it's got a tad clumpy on this eye, but I think that's down to my application. I'm quite impressed with it. I think it's good. I think it'll probably get better with more use. I do like it actually. It hasn't wowed me as much as like the Collection Lash Edge, but I think it's done a pretty decent job. I did actually get a couple of the new Revolution false lashes. So I got the Natural Lashes number 3 Undercover, they look like this, and then I got the Volume Lashes number 10 Tangled, but I'm not going to use them today because I broke my tweezers, so I've got nothing to apply them with, but I will use these in one of, if not both, of my next 2 videos. I'm doing a pick from my kit. Instead, let's move on to the base. So the foundation I've got is the NYX Born to Glow Naturally Radiant Foundation, which I wanted as soon as I saw it existed. I went for the shade Pale, which may be a little bit light for me because in the other NYX foundation, the Can't Stop Won't Stop one, I think my shade was also pale, but I just was a bit worried that one of the other ones would be too dark, but it might have been a better option to go for one of the slightly deeper ones. We'll see. I know a lot of people's issues with the Can't Stop Won't Stop is it's very dry. I personally found it a bit dry as well, but I really liked it for like mixing with things. I found that it had like really good wear as well. It was just a tiny bit dry. That was my one kind of issue with it. So I'm interested to see how this one performs. Holy crap, it's a bit watery. You know what, actually I think that shade might be okay. Maybe a tiny bit pale. It's definitely more warm toned. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this all over my face. I think I've seen a couple people try it, and I think the consensus was that it was good. Okay, so yeah, the shade is definitely a little bit pale for me. It probably look like a ghost on camera, but it's not as bad in real life. It spreads out really far, you don't need a lot of it, that's good. This is definitely one of those foundations that claims to be glowy, that claims to be like dewy and glowy and actually is. Sometimes they claim to be and they're not. I definitely look at this and I see like dewiness on my skin. I think the one issue that I have when the foundations are quite dewy, I do feel like they tend to like emphasize my texture a bit. I do feel like, yeah, it does do that a little bit, like it's not like super smoothing over my pores, if you get what I mean. It's not there's no patchiness. The application is absolutely fine, very even. Coverage is pretty good. I can still see like a little bit of my like blemishes coming through. I'd say it's like a solid medium coverage. I'm not in love with it just from first impressions, just because it is a little bit like sitting in my texture, but then I also have my skin is also like quite textured today. It's not always this bad. It is quite a lot though. I don't know, I'm not in love with this from how it's sitting on my skin, but I do feel like when I powder down foundations that are more dewy, they tend to look a little bit better because like the texture tends to go away. First impressions, I think the coverage is pretty decent. Finish I'm not 100% mad about. We'll see how it wears. As I said, the Can't Stop Won't Stop one I found had really good wear, so hopefully it's a similar situation with this one. I feel like again it might be the sort of foundation that I would prefer to mix with things. So I'll add a bit more of the Milani concealer, which I wasn't the biggest fan of on my bare skin, but I'll put some of this under my eyes, on my nose, and around any blemishes. Because the foundation's obviously quite dewy, it might work a bit better on top of it. I suppose on my like just normal skin that's a little bit dry today, just on its own. I actually think that the coverage is really good for this concealer. Like, it's covered my bags really well, the redness on my nose, it's reduced this blemish that I've had for like 20 years it feels like on around my mouth really well. I think the coverage is like really good, and I do think it blends better on the top of foundation, but I still feel like it looks a tiny bit dry. I don't know, it's not as bad over the top of foundation though. I like it more over. I'm just not sure how to feel about the base overall. I just feel like I look quite heavy and quite like textured looking, but hopefully powder may reduce some of that texture. We'll see. I did actually get two powders. The first one is from Beauty Bakery. It's the flower setting powder in Oat / Translucent, and it comes in a little bag. So cute. So it looks like this. I mean, it's not massive. It's not like, you know, Coty Earthburn Fenty Beauty size sort of powder, but I mean there's a decent amount in there. The colour looks like it's pretty pale, so hopefully that should be alright. I did also get this BH Cosmetics powder. It's just called the Translucent Setting Powder, which I did think that it was a pressed powder when I saw it online, but it's actually a loose powder, and this is actually quite big. Quite a lot in there. So I don't know if I should use both of them or... See, this one looks like literally white, whereas this one I feel like, even though it's translucent, it's got like a tiny bit of a skin tint to it. So I feel like if I did half and half, it might look a little bit weird. But then again, I'm not going out anywhere and my eye look is already super weird. So you know what, I will actually do half on one face, half on another. I don't really mind if I look two colours. This isn't exactly like the most attractive look anyway. What's a bit annoying about the BH Cosmetics one is you've got nothing to like tap it into, because I much prefer one that's like a lid that you can take off, like with the Beauty Bakery one, so you can tap the powder into it, whereas this is just kind of like that. So it's just like, where do I put the powder? So for loose powders I tend to use this sponge because I can get quite intricately with this side, and then I just use the bottom for the rest of my face. So most loose powders this works with. The only one that I found that doesn't work super well with is the Fenty Beauty one, but I'm going to try it this way with the BH Cosmetics one. I'll do this side. What I am noticing is that the powder is absorbing into the sponge, which some powders do, but most, the ones I tend to like, don't. Actually looks okay. What I have noticed that it's done a little bit is slightly oxidized my base, which isn't a huge problem because my base was too light anyway, so it doesn't look like I'm too dark on this side or anything, but I feel like with other foundations that could be a bit of a problem. But I think the finish is actually like pretty smooth. It's definitely taken away some of the texture, but there's a little bit of like powderiness I feel like on my face. I mean, it doesn't look too bad. It's alright, I'll let that settle on my skin. And now we'll get out the Beauty Bakery powder. I actually prefer the layout of this one. It's got like a twisty thing so you can like block off the powder to obviously prevent spillage. And then again, you've got a nice lid to tap it into, which I appreciate. It has got a slight tint to it, but it looks pretty fair to me, so hopefully it doesn't make me orange or something. That wouldn't be ideal. But the colour does look good from looking at it, but you never know what it will do when it goes on the face. Obviously I will try both of these powders out on different bases, because obviously some powders don't agree with some bases and they might look really nice over other ones. Yeah, I much prefer the colour of this side. I think that colour's perfect, it's not oxidised my base or anything. I feel like, I don't know if you'll see it on camera, but I just see like kind of orange patches on this side. Whereas this side I feel like just looks a lot more like my actual skin colour. The only bad thing I'll say about this side is I feel like it looks a little bit cakey, but then again, as I said, like I've already felt like my skin looked cakey, so I feel like on a different base this could potentially look a lot nicer. I think I do overall prefer this side just because of like the colour issue for a start off. I think they've both mattified like well. This one's a little bit more, I feel like this side's a little bit more lightweight. This one I feel like's a bit thicker, but I don't dislike either of these powders. I think they're okay, there's some potential there. So if you're getting that BH Cosmetics one, be wary that it does oxidise and kind of give you some orange patches. Okay, so moving on to cheeks, I've got a bronzer and a highlighter from Doll Beauty. So the bronzer is called the Doll Give Me Sun, and it's in the shade Light. I think there's like about 3 or 4 shades. It comes in this little heart packaging. Super cute. It's like quite a fair shade, so hopefully this will work for my skin tone. It is matte. Yeah, that's quite nice. It doesn't come out too harsh, which is great. I feel like in the pan it looks a tiny bit reddish, but I don't feel like it looks reddish on the face. I feel like it looks like a pretty decent colour for like fair skin on me. Yeah, from first impressions I like that, but again I want to try it out on a different base. The highlighter is the Like a Diamond highlighter, and it's in the shade Light. Again, love this packaging, and it's like a very like kind of, it's a very like goldy white sort of colour. Looks really pretty. Ooh, that looks nice. Alright, so I'm just going to pop this on all over. Sometimes powders, especially like translucent ones, can make my highlight not show up as nice, so yeah, I can already tell that's the case because it's like barely gone on the BH Cosmetics side, but it's shown up really nice on the Beauty Bakery side. So again, that's a downside to the BH Cosmetics powder, but on this side that looks stunning. Love it. It's just really annoying when powders do that. It's always like the translucent ones, because obviously the Beauty Bakery one wasn't like, it had like a skin tint to it, so it's obviously not done as much. Now my highlight's just gonna look really uneven. I'm putting it on both sides of my face and it literally just looks like I'm putting it on one side. Like, oh, chin's popping on that side, but not really on this side. Yeah, it just does not seem to be coming out like at all. Like, there's a very faint bit of shimmer there on this side, but on this side, like, hello, that is like insane. That's beautiful. So yeah, highlighter, great. BH Cosmetics translucent powder and highlighter though, not the combo. But I think that's stunning, I really like it. Just looks like I've highlighted one half of my face. For eyebrows, I've got a gel and a pencil, as I normally do. So I've got the Ardell Brow Building Fibre Gel in dark brown, which I saw in Beauty Bay. And the wand is very small, which we like. We like a small wand here. And then I also got the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim Defining Pencil in the shade black/brown. Love me a good micro brow pencil. The way I like to do my brows is use the gel to fill them in, and then use the pencil to just like touch up like the arch and just any sparse areas, and that normally gives me the brow I want, if the products are good anyway. Sometimes I do fill my brow in just with a pencil. Sometimes if I want a more sort of like natural sort of like untamed kind of brow, I do that. But more regularly I'll use a gel and a pencil. So I will obviously try that Maybelline pencil on its own at some point. So there definitely is some excess on the wand that I'm going to have to wipe off here. It's not too bad though. I mean, that's not great obviously, but compared to the Anastasia one and the Barry M one, that is a lot less that I'm having to wipe off there. So I'm going to fill my brows in with this now. I've already got a little lump going off here. I'm not sure how to feel about this brow gel. Like, I'm not hating it, but I'm not loving it. I'm finding it a little bit difficult to get a nice application. I think it's like even though the one's like a good like size, like it's small, but it's just a little bit thick, if you get what I mean. Just a reference, my favourite brow gels are the Benefit Give Me Brow and the e.l.f. Wow Brow. Those are my ideal ones, and I just don't think it's really given me them. It's not awful either. I think with a bit of pencil I might be able to make these look somewhat decent. Famous last words, but with that in mind I'm going to use the Maybelline just to fill them in a bit more. I'm not really sure if the pencil saved it. I still feel like they look a bit of a mess, especially this brow. I don't know what's happened in the end there. The pencil I like, but it feels like a little bit stiff at the moment. I don't know if it just needs to sort of like warm up to like my skin or something. We'll see about that. I'm not digging these brows, they just look a little bit harsh. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about both of those brow products at the moment, but we'll keep using them. I feel like that's a recurring theme here. I'm going to use this really beautiful looking blue shimmer called Peppermint, because I was swatching some of the shimmers and they were like stunning. So I really feel like I need to use at least one today. And I'm just going to throw that on the lower lash line. I know it's going to look a bit weird with this look, but oh well. Pretty, but most of it did go into my eyeball, so that's fun. I'm going to use this like white that's got like a pink shift in it called Pink Me, and pop that in my inner corner. I'm going to put some more of the Revlon So Fierce on my bottom lashes. Didn't buy a lip product, but this did come through with my order from Boots. It's a CYO, the CYO lipstick. It's in the shade Keep 'Em Keen. When I saw it online, it looked like a sort of bright red, which I didn't really want, but seeing it in person, it's like this sort of like deep plummy red, and it's actually a really pretty colour. I like it. The only lip colours I really use are like nudes or like really like vampy colours like this, so I don't actually mind the shade. And again, it's all gonna look really weird, but it looks weird anyway, but might as well put it on. I have got a little bit of lip balm on because my lips are really dry. Applies really like nice and smoothly. The colour actually looks a lot more like berry in the lips. It's not actually that vampy. It's a little bit disappointing, but it's a nice shade. Like, it is just a really like nice berry colour. I know a lot of people really like these shades. I feel like with the right look I would like it, but for this look it looks absolutely mental. It is a really nice autumn colour. The formula seems quite nice. It's quite like hydrating it feels, but then I don't know if that's just because I've got lip balm underneath it. But then it doesn't feel like it's gonna like sort of bleed everywhere or anything. I'm just gonna fix my hair and I'll be right back. Okay, so I feel like I look kind of horrendous right now, but whatever. At least we got to play with some makeup. So my favourite products would have to be, well, the eyeshadow palette I really like. I quite like the Revlon mascara. The BH Cosmetics eyeliner I think worked pretty well. The bronzer and the highlighter from Doll Beauty I think are really nice, especially the highlighter. I think that looks super pretty. I think I like the Beauty Bakery powder, but I need to keep trying it. The BH Cosmetics one I'm not so sure about. I just feel like it's oxidized my makeup. It's not made my highlight show up super well. The finish is okay, but it looks a little bit like sort of like powdery in the face almost. I don't know. I mean, it looks alright. I'm not so sure about the Ardell brow gel. I feel like it just looks a little bit too harsh, and it's also quite firm, like the stick of it, which I don't love with eyebrow gels. The pencil I think could be nice, but it's not really helped out too well with this brow. The Milani concealer I think has really good coverage. I really like the shade. I think it worked well on top of foundation, but just on my bare skin I just found it way too drying. So I'm not 100% sure about that one, but I will keep trying it with different foundations. And the foundation itself I like. I think the coverage is good, but I just feel like it looked a little bit cakey and a little bit textured on my skin, but I am going to try different like methods of applying it. maybe mixing it with things, but I don't dislike it, but I'm just not like in love with it from first impressions. Yeah, I feel like it's been a bit of a mixed bunch here. Some products that I quite like, some products that I'm not so sure about, we'll see. I'm going to do an updated review of all of these products, which will be up hopefully at the beginning to mid-January, as well as the products that I try in next month's first impressions. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye. Goodbye.